will substitute and help you get a better grip on class notebook and assignments and how this all really works together. My name is Bruce Sardi, and I have over 25 years of experience in educational technology with over 20 different schools in higher ed and K-12. I have 10 years classroom teaching experience, and I'm currently working as a Director of Information Technology in higher education. I have my Microsoft Innovative Educator Expert certifications as well as the Microsoft Educator Trainer certification, and I am also a Google Certified Educator. Here's what we're going to cover today. We're going to cover what a class team is fairly briefly, but we'll cover it. We are going to cover OneNote for Windows and Class Notebook for Teams, talk a little bit about how they work together and how you can use one or the other. We will look at using Class Notebook within Teams, using assignments, and then using Class Notebooks and assignments together. And we'll also get a look at the way the students interact with it at the same time. Check out edtechvirtualcio.com. They are the sponsor of these webinars. Sign up for their mailing list. And please share this information with your administrators. We do lots of training, and also our EdTech Virtual CIOs. We can come in and help with all sorts of technology in your classroom. And here is a nifty little QR code if you want to snap that, and then it'll take you right to our more information form if you need more information from the folks sponsoring this webinar. And now on to the instruction. For that, I am going to stop this particular share, and then we are going to go ahead and go right into the sharing of the old desktop here. So here we see a class team. Across the top, we have our posts, which hopefully you're all familiar with. If you're not, please go back and watch our Teams 101 webinar, which is available on YouTube and in our Teachers Helping Teachers online group on Facebook. You can see I'm running this meeting right now in the channel, the general channel. And if we go down in my list to the actual team, Starfleet Basic Training, you can see here I've got a little camera as well as the different channels I've set up for different topics within this course. We have our files area. This files area is somewhere where you can store items that are relevant to your course that you want students to be able to access in an asynchronous manner. So you want them there for them to go in and kind of do whatever with at any time, or maybe just information that you're sharing with them. It could just be a PDF of information. It could be instructions on how to do things. It could be a variety of different things. Just remember that this general channel is open to everyone, and it is also the only place where you're going to get assignments and grades. Class Notebook, we're going to touch more on. We're probably going to spend most of our time in Class Notebook. This is what it sounds like. It is the notebook for this class. And you can see I was in the Collaborate section here last, but you can see there are notebooks for all of my students here. In my assignments, I have assignments, and we're going to talk about how assignments work a little bit, mostly in conjunction with Class Notebook, but we'll talk a little bit about PDFs and Word documents, things like that. We also have our Grades tab here, which is where we grade our assignments. And then we have our Insights tab, which I added. This is an education class teams only tab, and it allows you to get a look at what your students are doing, how active they are, just various different metrics that you can use to keep track of what your students are and are not doing. It defaults to today. If you go over 7 days, you can see Jean-Luc Picard has been in. I can drill down and see what he's been doing in more detail. So you can see he viewed and turned in assignments. This is a sample team, so that's why no one else has been active. This is not an actual class. And you can see grade average over the last week. You can see activity and so on. You can also drill down and look at specific students. Now, Insights is not in your class team by default, but if you click the plus arrow, You can see add a tab. It's going to come up with all sorts of things. Just type insights. I hear a lot of people asking about different whiteboarding things. If you want to do a really good built-in whiteboard, Envision by Freehand is something you can add. That's not education specific, anyone can use that, but if you don't like the built-in Teams whiteboard and you don't have the Microsoft Whiteboard app, I'm talking to you Mac users, you don't have that application, then Freehand is a great alternative. All right, so we're going to cruise over to Class Notebook and really dive in to Class Notebook. So a lot of people ask, what's the difference between Class Notebook and Notebook? OneNote for Windows. You can see I've got mine open over here. You will notice that in my Starfleet training notebook, I've got all my students. I've got my collaboration and content library. And if I open this drawer, I've got all my students and my collaboration and content library. So when you look at these things, they are very much the same. And when you have a class team, it should automatically create a class team notebook for you in your list. You can see I have all these different notebooks that I use for various different things that I can switch between in OneNote notebook, so I don't have that availability here in Class Notebook. This Class Notebook is focused primarily only on what's in this class. So when we're looking at the differences, if I have, let's say I'm a high school instructor and I've got 8 different classes that I teach, well, I can switch between all the notebooks here very easily. And any changes I make here will synchronize back up to here and vice versa. So if I want to come in to my collaborate, welcome, I can say, Chief O'Brien. That was terrible. In the name, and I have no idea how old he is in the show. We'll just say 32. He's from Deep Space Nine. There we go. So we're just gonna run with that. But I can make this change here, and you can see here's my sync button, and you can kind of see the sync status. And if I can force it if I want to, it'll do it on its own kind of once I click off of the notebook. And then I'll be able to come up here, and you can see it's synced in the middle of my typing. It'll take a second to figure itself out and synchronize properly, but then it will come up and help and synchronize here once the synchronization over here is completed properly. So the idea is the data does synchronize between the 2 notebooks, so you can quickly work between them here if you choose to. You can also see distribute page, distribute new section, copy to content library, and review student work. So all of this is here in OneNote in OneNote for Windows, as well as when I come over here and I click on Class Notebook, I've got all of the same features here in my Teams notebook, as well as Manage Notebooks and connections and more options. All of these things very similar up here. The icons look slightly different, where I can add and remove students and teachers to my class notebook and manage my notebooks. So my recommendation is you do it the way that works best for you. They do synchronize, they do work together. There's the functionality might be mildly different between the two, but for the most part, for the balance of this, I'm going to focus here in the Teams notebook and working through that with you, and that way we can stay focused here. One thing that I do want to show you that is very special within Class Notebook that you can access from OneNote for Windows or through Teams is the ability to create read-only parent links. Now you can't do it here, so this is one of those things where you're going to say, well, what should I do? Where should I go? If I come into OneNote for Windows 10 as opposed to Teams, I can come up to my notebook and say Manage Notebooks, and that's going to open it in my web browser. And you can see I've got Managed Starfleet Basic Training Notebook. And I see all my sections, so I can do things like add a section, and I can do all of this from within the Teams Managed Notebook. So if I come to Class Notebook and I do Managed Notebook, so you can see I've got all of my notebooks. I can add a section. If I click add a section, I can say new section number 1, or not number 1, sorry, 01, and save it, and it will distribute that to all of my students. I can lock or unlock the collaboration space depending on what they want them to do. I can add a teacher-only section to this. I can also get a link to my notebook. What I need to do from the web browser portion is parent and guardian links. So I can click here and I can either create a link for individual students. So if I'm going to select Captain Picard, here's my link for Captain Picard, and I would send this to his parents, and then they would have access to read his notebooks in these sections as they live here. Super duper handy thing to be able to do. But you can only do that through the web page managing your notebook. So let's take a look at what we can do in Class Notebook in Teams. So we have our collaboration space, and you can see that by default in the previous section that it is open for use by whomever. And if I have this 4th grade supply list, anyone, including students, can come in here and see it. Similarly, the content library is accessible for others to see. So for example, if I take a look, and here's Captain Jean-Luc Picard's OneNote for Windows 10. You can see he's got access to the content library in a very similar way that I do. The big difference is I can set his permissions to see and do whatever it is that I want him to see and do within these. He also has only his own set of notebooks here. Now, by comparison, I have access to everyone's notebooks, and I can expand them out and see all of the sections, including the new section 01. Now, what you notice here is that he does not see the new section here in his OneNote notebook yet because his is not synchronized. However, if I cruise over to his team, let me get to the right place for him, and I go to General and I go to his class notebook. Within Teams, give it a second here to load, we are going to see that his class notebook is the same as mine for him. It's not loading for me. There we go. So you can see Chief O'Brien as we had edited in the class notebook. If I cruise down to here, we see he has new section 01 here, as I showed you how to distribute it through managing. Now we'll come back, whoops, and back to the posts for him, and then come back to class notebook. So within the collaboration space, we can use this to prep things for collaboration by everyone at once. So if we're thinking out loud, we're saying maybe we're going to use this in a synchronous way for people to be able to go into their class notebook and in a live class. So if I come in to Captain Picard's class notebook and I'm going to have him put in, I have it closed. I don't have it open for them to collaborate, but you can open this section for them to be able to actively collaborate in it. I'm sorry, I did not prep that. Content library can be used in a very similar way. So you can see here are my assignment resources. And this is used very simply by coming in and creating a new assignment, and I'm just showing you how it works because I already have some things that we will distribute here in a few minutes. And this is an assignment resource. I also have separate things in this particular case. You can see I have a Know Your Enterprise channel, but in these separate channels, you can't have assignments and grades. So I have this in the notebook here so that I can keep it a little more organized. You can see I have my Captain Kirk assignment, that for the Know Your Enterprise folks. And when I'm ready, I can either distribute it to everyone within one of these folders. And let me come back down to the Captain Picard. So maybe what I want to do is say we're going to distribute this page. We can distribute it to individuals, to group, or cross notebooks. So I can do this to multiple notebooks at the same time if I want to. It reduces the duplication, but instead I'm going to say group. And we're going to wait for that to open. And select the students that I want to distribute it to. And I'm going to say, well, these are the ones that I want to distribute it to. And I want to note this one here that says Bruce, that's my name. Some people have asked, can you invite outside people who are not in your organization to a class team? And you can. That is an outside email address. And I'm naming the group and I am saving it. And now I can distribute it to that group. And where am I going to put it for that group? Well, I'm going to put it in, I'll put it in the new section 01. How's that? We just made that, so we're going to distribute that out. And we're going to wait for it to do its little magical thing here for a minute. It's taking a little bit of time. Oh, there it is, it's done. Just as I was getting impatient, it finished up the distribution. So that's good. So we've distributed that out to our students, and we have put it, where we put it, in new section 01. And if I look here in mine, I can verify that once the section comes up for me. I guess it's just taking a little long for it to do that. So while it's doing that, oh, there it is. So yeah, I'm just being a little impatient. My connection isn't super fast today, I guess. So we can see that the Captain Kirk page has been distributed here, which is text along with a picture and an image. So that is super duper. So that's the basic breakdown of Class Notebook. That is how you would create content and distribute it out into different folders within your class. And if I come over and go back to Captain Picard's account, and hopefully his will synchronize a little faster than mine did. If I cruise over and open his notebook, and I come down to new section 01, oh, look, there it is, Captain Kirk, and now he has the materials that I wanted him to have in order to do whatever the assignment is that I was going to give him, or maybe this is just reading material or any number of other things that you could do here. Remember, OneNote, Class Notebook, these are very flexible, multimodal applications that allow you to use images. They allow you to embed sounds and videos and all sorts of other materials. Your students can do it too. I have put this in here for Captain Picard, and he can come in and say, well, who's my favorite captain? I'm going to highlight that, and boom, because he's working within his own folder, he can notate this however he wants. And that will synchronize back up to the team for me to see, but no one else but me. Now, remember, I gave his parents permission to see this, so their parents are going to be able to see the work he's doing in his notebook as well. So that is one of the really important reasons why this is really great stuff to do and to use. So now we'll come back to our team, and we're going to move on and talk a little bit about assignments. We're going to talk about how they work reasonably briefly, but then we're going to talk about how they interact with Class Notebook. You can see I've got some assignments already here that I've done in previous webinars, but we're going to create one from the start. You can, which is a really nice feature, create and save it without finishing it here in Draft, which is a nice little thing to do. I don't have any to show you, but it's really easy to do. If I click Create, I can do it from an existing assignment. I can create a new quiz or a new assignment. So if I do from an existing assignment, it allows me to select from a list of anything that I've already created. And I'm going to show you that real quick. It brings it up. What classes do I have? Well, Starfleet Basic Training is the one that I have materials in. Here are all of the assignments that I've created. All I would need to do is select one. So we're going to say, explain what the prime directive means to you. And I'm going to click Next. And it's going to grab all of the settings that I had previously and apply it forward. So I don't have to create the wheel here. You can see I have a typo here. I can fix that really quick. If I want the students to notice the word count that I'm looking for, there it is. I can make it bold. I can say, let's highlight. Maybe I want them to notice what the prime directive there. So I have some really neat little things that I can do. I've already added a resource to this, so I don't need to do it again. How many points do I want to add to this? Well, because I haven't applied Rubric to it, so the Rubric handles that, and I'll show you the points in a second. I can choose a new due date. I don't need to. I think Thursday is fair. You have a day to do this. Okay, maybe that's a little short. I'll choose Friday. I'll give them 2 days and be nice. I can assign it to everyone or only some students. And I can also select where to assign it to. If I had more than one class here, I could absolutely do that. I can post it to notifications to the channel. Additionally, I can edit this and say, wait, where do I want to post it? I can pick the channel that I want to post it to. I can only post it to one channel at a time though. And then I'm going to go ahead and assign it. So now here's the new assignment. In addition, you notice I've labeled it short answer. That helps me sort through my assignments maybe a little bit easier based on labels. Now that was, I'm going to click back into it and we are going to edit the assignment, which I can easily do. And you can see this is a Word document. And I have it set to students edit their own copy, which means each individual student is going to get their own copy of this Word document to edit. So they're not going to see each other's work. So I wanted to show that to you real quick before we moved on. Because what we're going to do now when we come back to assignments is we are going to create a new assignment. And we're going to do it, let's see, we're going to say edit the schematic. And I'm going to change it and call it PDFs because we're going to use a PDF for this one. I'm going to say edit the schematic with the appropriate numbers. I'm going to add a resource. Here's where Class Notebook comes in really handy for me. I can do this from my OneDrive, as you saw I had a Word document before that I had grabbed, but I don't want to do that. I want to choose from my Class Notebook. And I'll be honest and tell you, I don't remember where I had it. Maybe it was Content Library. Let's take a look. Know Your Enterprise. And Enterprise Schematic Assignment. I'm going to attach it to here. And then Homework. Students edit their own copy. And done. So you can see that's how I've now attached a notebook to this, and I'm going to give it 10 points. I'm not going to assign a rubric to it, but if you have rubrics, you can fill them out and assign it. As I showed you, I can assign it to some students, all students, no students, any students in Starfleet Basic Training. Do I want late turn-ins allowed? I generally allow them, so I will allow it. I'm going to assign it to be due on Monday, and I'm going to allow it to be posted to the channel. So now we assign it. If I'd hit save here, it would have saved it in drafts. So you may be wondering, wait a second, you just assigned a PDF. How does that work in Class Notebook? I come over to Class Notebook, and I come into my content library. I'm going to go to Know Your Enterprise, and I am going to add a new page. When I add a new page, I have a few different options. I'm going to say Insert. I'm going to say File, and you can see I have Insert as Attachment or Insert File as Printout. So when I'm working with a PDF, in order to allow them to mark it up, all I need to do is insert it in this way. And I'm going to be honest with you and tell you I don't remember where all of my PDFs were, but we're going to find one and we'll just throw it in there and run with it. There we go, USS Enterprise Space Cruiser, insert. So what it's doing here is it is inserting the image of the PDF into my class notebook. This does take a minute for OneNote and Notebook to kind of work its magic, but this is how I created the assignment that I just assigned to folks. And you can see what it's doing is it's attaching the PDF itself and also inserting the picture of the PDF, and we just need to be patient while it does that. And while it does that, I'm going to say Enterprise Schematic 02, whoops, 02 for posterity, so we know what's what. And it is taking longer than we'd hoped, but we do have to sit and be patient. Sometimes wireless networking is wonderful, and sometimes it is, you know, a little slow. Today, it's being a little slow. While it's doing that, we can talk a little bit, let's see, about the class notebooks. I showed you how to add class notebooks in OneNote. I'm going to come over here and show you a student, and I'm going to pick Andre. Andre is not currently in this class. He's been removed, but his class notebook is still here. So you can see here, I added astrometrics when I set up my class team, but the defaults were homework, images, manuals. Were homework, images, notes, and quizzes, and I also added manuals. So every student who's in your student list is going to get the same list of notebooks. In a content library, when your class team is created, you're not going to get anything. You're going to get the using content library page, which is this guy, and it kind of walks you through, you know, really briefly what it is. It doesn't say too much. But then I created the section for Know Your Enterprise with these other links. I also created the assignments so that I have assignment resources here. And you can kind of see what the PDF looks like in the end once this is inserted. And then what this does for me is it inserts the PDF, and in Notebook, you can mark it up just like you're in OneNote. And so we're not really going to wait for this to finish any longer. We're going to move on. So when I come back here to assignment, and it will finish in the background, by the way, it's not going to stop just because I left there. In your assignments tab, you can see I've got explain what prime directive means to you and edit the schematic. One of the nice things that you can do in teams, in class teams, is I can come over and look at the student view and get a look at what the student sees. So this is what the student's going to see in their assignment. Edit the schematic with appropriate numbers, and then here's that class notebook. If I shift gears and come over to Captain Picard, or Jean-Luc Picard's class team, well, he was notified that he got a new assignment. Assignments mentioned, explained what the prime directive means to you. So you can see he knows what that assignment is. He can just click right here and view it, and he's going to get his assignment. Explain what the prime directive means to you. You can see where we marked it up. It's bold, and here's the Word document. So he can click on this document, and it's going to bring up his copy of the Word document. Now, he's already done this assignment once, so he might be figuring what the heck's going on. But he can say that the prime directive is super duper important. And I'm just going to leave it at that. And then he's going to close it. And if he's happy with his work, now if he's not happy or he just wanted to start it, he can come back to it. But let's say I'm happy with that. I click turn in, and he's now turned in that assignment. That's the Word assignment. But if I come over here, say edit the assignment, update that assignment. Oh, it's still loading the assignment, that's why. I was trying to figure out what was going on. I was pretty sure I'd assigned it to students. I had, but it's still working on generating different things. We're distributing your assignments to students now. So it hasn't finished distributing that assignment to the students. So we have to wait for that to finish. While it's finishing, I'm going to come over to grades because I know that that Captain Picard just finished an assignment. Explain what the prime directive means. So I'm going to click on the action menu, and I'm going to click open student work and say, let's see, what did Captain Picard do? Say, well, this explanation leaves a little to be desired. Previous work was more complete. There we go. So now, because of the, here's the rubric. So I can come into my rubric that I previously defined and say, well, he didn't really, he showed an awareness, but he didn't really explain it. Not a full explanation. You know it exists, but don't seem to know what it means. All right. Now if I come down and to the next group, illustrates the prime directive. Well, he didn't illustrate it at all, did he? Oh, illustration directive. Then I move on to the next thing, grammar. Is it APA grammar? Sure, yeah, great, looks good. And now I'm done. And now I can return it, and it will assign the grade based on my rubric in this case. And we have lots of notifications that say it's good to go. You see returned. Now, if I come over here to assignments, we can see the edit the schematic assignment is there. And now I should be able to come over to Captain Picard's and refresh his assignments. Assignments. And see, I've edited the schematic new there. I can also click on grades, and you can see here's his edit the prime directive that's been returned with comments. We won't look at that now because I want to show you how we edit this. I click on this assignment, and if you remember, we inserted this PDF in order to be marked up for Captain Picard to mark up for us. If I scroll down, I have some instructions that I included at the bottom. I could have put them at the top, but I didn't. You can put them. The one thing I will note is if you are going to insert a PDF like this, like I've done here, you probably want to type any instructions above it because it becomes more difficult to manipulate. You can manipulate it around, it's just more difficult. However, for Captain Picard, this is not hard because he can double click in the space and say number 1. And you can double click in this space. The one thing is, if you look at the size of the text boxes, they are only a certain size. So he can double click, he can move this, and he can say Captain's Chair. I know that's kind of hard to read, so let's make it less hard to read. You can, there, I can click bold, I can give it a color. Maybe I want to make it easy to read that way. I can make it a little bit larger if I want. There, now it's a little bit easier to read. I can manipulate it there. I can also say, Commander Riker, oh wait, that's hard to read. Why don't I put it on 2 lines? Well, heck, I can do that too. And then I can manipulate that here. So what we're trying to illustrate here is that I can come in and type anywhere. So what on this document, even though it's a PDF, it doesn't matter. Shuttlecraft. We're just going to create it. Oh, I typed it wrong. Well, I can fix that. I right click and boom. I can correct my spelling. I can manipulate it. I can make it fancy if I want to. And just like before, you can see I can change colors and come up here and change sizes. There are a lot of different options when you're in OneNote and you're working with either PDFs, Word documents, anything you want within OneNote. Now, Captain Picard has decided he's done with this. Didn't really follow the instructions, but that's okay. He's going to close it. Now he can also decide to add more work to this. If he clicks add work, it's going to bring up a dialog box for him to link other files. I could click upload from this device and I'll go here. I don't know if there's anything here. Nope, there's not really a lot for me to help you. I'll just, you know what I'll do? I'll put the team shortcut on there. There we go. It uploads and done. Oh, it's saying I can't do that. That's fine. I did want to illustrate it to you. Let's say I'm not done. Let's say Captain Picard. I mentioned to you that it's multimodal and it will allow you to do different things. Well, if I want to do that with my students, I can come over here and click insert. And now I have the audio muted on the machine that I'm on there. So I can't do audio, but if I didn't, I could do audio, I can do math, emojis, pictures, and all sorts of different things. I would have to, let me maximize this. I would have to come somewhere in the document that I can edit, and now you can see I have access. I can do a table, I can insert a picture, file camera, even from online. So I can come here and say, different shuttlecraft. So Creative Commons, I'm searching in. Well, here we go. I want to insert a picture of a shuttlecraft into here. And it just pulled that right from Creative Commons for me to use. If I wanted, so whoops, I have that selected. If I want, whoops, my clicking's a little crazy here. I can come here and insert audio, so I can click audio. I'm going to allow it access to record the audio. It's going to start recording automatically. So it's recording, let's say I'm discussing the shuttlecraft, and I'm going to hit stop, and it's going to take a second to save that and also sync it. And now you can see the audio recording is inserted. I can choose to open it in OneNote for Windows, so that if I want to do my assignment there, I certainly can. I can also do hyperlinks, so if I do videos, things like that. And I don't know, let's find a fun sticker that has nothing to do with anything, but we're just showing off what we can do. There's different groups of stickers you can pick from, and we're going to say we're done. Now I'm going to turn it in. And there's the rocket saying, look, there you go, good job, way to turn it in, Captain Picard. If I come back to my class team, it may take a second to synchronize all of that up because I added a number of things. Edit the schematic, I've given it a 10-point value. Whoops, that's not what I wanted to do. I want to click Open Student Work. I see Captain Picard's. Now, I can drop this down and look at other students, but they haven't turned it in, and I happen to know that, so that's fine. But what I'm showing you here is that if you have an assignment that everyone has turned in, you only need to do this for one, and then you can select between them for the assignments through here. So here you can see, here is all the work Captain Picard did on the assignment. There's his water buffalo. I'm not really sure what the water buffalo is doing. I guess he doesn't like that. Here's the picture he inserted. I'm going to say great use of media, nice labeling. If I wanted to listen to this, here's the audio recording to listen to. If I click on it and I click play, it is going to play it. I'm not really sharing all of that, so you can't hear that necessarily. And I'm going to give him a 9 out of 10 and return his work. And it is all that simple to do. So I do hope that this has been super helpful for you, and I hope that you find some really great things in here and make great use of Teams for classes, class notebook, and grades and assignments.